next episode of Dark Side of the Ring, the life, career, and legacy of Terry Gordy, formerly of the Fabulous Freebirds, also a great professional wrestler in his own right.
Yep.
Trevor, obviously you have a lot of history, like, more history than I do watching Terry Gordy. By all accounts, he is, he was a very he was a very warm guy to his friends.
Yeah.
And if you didn't like him, though, or if he didn't like you, he didn't like you. There are a lot of insane stories about Terry Gordy around his time in wrestling. But, man, what do you think? Give your thoughts on Terry Gordy for the people at home.
Terry Gordy was Job said it best in the chat. Terry Gordy was an MFer. He was. I hope we can say that. I know we can say that part.
Yeah, you can say that. You can say it, yeah.
Tough as dude. He was tough. He reminded me a lot of the Funk Brothers because he was so tough. The Funk Brothers, oh my God, tough as a $2 steak. But Gordy was just he wasn't the best guy in the ring, but he was good. He was great to watch. Him with the Freebirds was fun. I grew up watching the Freebirds and Von Erich's fight and the Freebirds fight everybody else. I actually had I wish I still had a wrestling set with Michael P.S. Haynes, Gordy, and the other one who I always forget. Always forget that one. But I had both of them, and they had the robes that came off, and they were big to do in Mid-South wrestling and Texas Southern wrestling. They were big names. It was always fun to watch them now. I'm actually looking forward to this one.
Oh, yeah. I remember, this was Michael Hayes. He told a story once about Terry Gordy. They got in this, bar fight. Mm-hmm. And basically, Terry just, took it upon himself to, fight this guy who was brandishing a gun. And, they end up, the guy ends up, shooting at him, and they're running to their car. And when they finally get away in their car, Terry just looks at Michael and goes, and I'm just like my exposure to Terry Gordy, obviously I've seen a lot of his stuff from with the Freebirds and WCCW, but my first exposure to Terry Gordy ever was King of the Death Match. It was IWA in Japan, and in the 90s that was the one that had that was probably one of the dumbest pay-per-views I've ever watched, but also one of the funniest pay-per-views I've ever watched. And I mean that in a good way, because there was good wrestling on the show, but it was literally Japanese deathmatch wrestling in the mid 90s, and I think it was Terry Gordy versus Terry Funk, and Terry Gordy was this man could not feel pain. Because he was putting himself through everything. And I think in the first round, he faced Leatherface or something.
Yeah, it was something weird that.
That was a wild tournament, by the way. It was Leatherface. There was there was Tiger Jeet Singh, who is the uncle of Tiger Ali Singh from WWF. And he was brandishing a sword, but instead of hitting people with the sword, he pulled a Triple H. So instead of obviously he's not gonna slice people with the sword, so he took the metal back of the sword and just went this. And I'm what a Triple H thing. It's I'm just gonna hit you with this sledgehammer.
But you know why Triple H did that, right?
What?
You know why he did that, right?
Oh, because he used to use a dummy sledgehammer and it broke once and it cut the Undertaker open, and Vince said never again.
Never again. It's okay. I'm just gonna use a real one. Bam.
Real one, but I'm gonna cover my. It's the stupidest thing. I can't get over it.
Oh, it's dumb as hell. It's dumb as hell. I mean, we understand why you do it, but at the same time, just use something else.
Yeah. Obviously, Terry Gordy, though, the subject of this documentary, he passed away back in 2001 from a heart attack. His son, Ray Gordy, otherwise known as Jesse, from Jesse and Festus, Biscuits and Gravy.
Hooray, my man.
Man.
Jesse and Festus.
Biscuits and Gravy. It's the funniest theme song in the history of pro wrestling.
Oh man,
because it makes no sense. The lyrics are literally biscuits and gravy.
Yep,
many a man.
Yep, yep. And
Amazing.
oh yeah.
Obviously, his son is helping carry on his legacy in professional wrestling. Trevor, like, I mean, the Freebirds in general had like a monumental impact on wrestling. Like
Absolutely.
the Freebird rule is like literally a thing for tag teams. It's why the New Day, are able to like kind of, or at the time they were able to like, pick whoever they wanted
Yep.
to be in those tag team matches because all three of them held the tag team belts.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Like I mean, I guess like talk about the Freebirds, in that respect, like their legacy on pro wrestling.
Like him or hate him, and most people actually couldn't stand Michael Hayes. Like most people could, if you talk to people about Michael Hayes to this day, most people couldn't stand him. He was a partier. He was out there, but when it came to getting down to business, as they say, he could do it. And none of those guys were slouches, though. None of those guys in the Freebirds were slouches. All of them could wrestle. And I think Gordy may have been one of the better ones because he was such a tough MF. Like he really was. He was a tough dude. Um, and it was always fun to watch him get in scrimmages with some of the Von Erichs and because also tough guys like the Four Horsemen, guys like that. So much fun to see him in action. Like the impact that that trio. I shouldn't say 3-man trio because that's a trio. That 3-man team had on wrestling is absolutely insane. Like Omar said, there is a rule that was made just for them where they each one can switch out. If one not wrestling this week, the other one's wrestling next week with the tag team titles. And it was made because of them. They helped innovate the tag division. I mean, like there's so much you can say about the Fabulous Freebirds. Like I could sit here for 2 hours and talk about Fabulous Freebirds. Like they really were like before their time. They really were.
Like Terry Gordy to me like kind of is very representative of the like he is like the quintessential like 80s like wrestler in
He
that
really
like
was.
he's just a big dude wearing like bland like underwear tights who's like who's just gonna kick your butt. He doesn't look that tough, or sorry, he
Nope.
doesn't look like the he's not chiseled out of granite or anything, but he will
Nope.
beat your butt.
He wasn't gonna sit there and talk to you about it. He was gonna say, "Hey, look, beat your ass and go do it." Like it's pretty much he
No,
didn't
he's
really
like one of
do
those.
much.
It's like one of those. Like I'm gonna sit here, finish this drink, and I'm gonna get up and beat your face in. And
Yeah, he didn't do a whole lot of talking. Like that's what P.S. Haynes' role was. He was a talker. He was the one that sold it. Gordy, yeah, I'm not gonna talk much. I'm just gonna get in the ring and bust your face in. And it worked. And it worked. It was fun. It was interesting. Gordy, I mean, like I said, like him or hate him, I actually like him a lot. It's gonna be fun to watch.